Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Jessie, to this fun little corner of the internet where we have fun, we vibe, we're vulnerable, and we're just having a great time. So if you're new, please make sure you like and subscribe. And today's video, I'm going to be giving you book recommendations for the summer. These are books I definitely feel like are great summer reads when you're lounging around in the sun, or it's a summer day and you don't have work and you don't have school and you have nothing to do and you're tired of rewatching the same Simpsons episode again and you feel like maybe I should pick up a book. I'm here to recommend you great reads, great fictional reads that can carry you away to another universe, make you think, or just have a great time. And I have 6 really great book recommendations for you today, so without further ado, let us get started. The first book I'm going to recommend to you today is a whodunit novel, and this is Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. So for those of you who haven't watched the movies, like I haven't watched the movies, I was thinking of watching the movies, and then I decided, no, let me read the book. That is the vibe we should get on. Let's not use instant gratification, I believe it's called. Anyway, the plot of this book is essentially this guy who is this famous detective ends up getting on this train and there is a murder, and they are trying to decipher who on this train committed the murder. They're trying to decipher who on this train committed the murder, and basically it's the pinnacle of whodunits. Agatha Christie is the godmother of the detective novels. You know, she's written so many amazing novels, and this is the first one I've read and I've sincerely enjoyed it. I really like how it's structured, that each chapter was kind of questioning a different witness, analyzing a different piece of evidence, and it makes you think along the way. You're thinking, you're analyzing, you're questioning at the same time as well as you're reading this book. And then you have the ending. While the ending isn't the best, the whole process of the book is so enjoyable. I love this book so much so that I'm so excited to read more whodunit novels and more Agatha Christie novels, because this was genuinely the peak of my whodunit experience, my very limited whodunit experience. But yes, this is a really great summer read, especially if you like crime and murder mysteries. This is definitely a book for you to read. It's a bit of an intense one, but I think it's worth it. It's Antony and Cleopatra by William Shakespeare. I feel like this is definitely an underrated William Shakespeare tragedy, because when you think of William Shakespeare tragedies, you think Macbeth, you think Othello, you think Hamlet, you know, Julius Caesar, Richard III, you know. But Antony and Cleopatra was a book I read in year 10, not a book, a play, sorry. A play I read in year 10, and I personally sincerely really enjoyed it. There was lots of really beautiful quotes, and the thing about Antony and Cleopatra is, for a William Shakespeare play, their love didn't feel cheesy. I feel like William Shakespeare has this little bit of an issue of making romances in his plays feel super duper cheesy, but this was really, really good. It had that aspect of, you know, we're gonna die soon, and you know, it had that political theme right through it. And Cleopatra is obviously this badass female character, well, sometimes in this play, so it kind of makes this romance feel a lot more mature than perhaps say his other romance based tragedies such as Romeo and Juliet. It's a lot more mature. You aren't used to William Shakespeare's writing and you're not used to Shakespearean English, and this is really a great one to start. I would recommend watching it along with YouTube video analysis or Spark Notes analysis, so you can kind of also capture the plot at the same time and also appreciate Shakespeare's genius. I feel like that's the best way to experience a Shakespeare play, is to definitely watch analysis or read analysis alongside it and discuss it with other people if you have the opportunity to. But yes, this is definitely a highly recommended book to add to your summer reading list. Next book is Men Without Women by Murakami. So this is a collection of short stories about men's experience with women that has affected or influenced their life in some way, in the most simplest way possible. I quite enjoyed it. This is the very first Murakami book I've ever read, and it was a very enjoyable experience. I can't lie, the fact that they were short stories did make it hard to feel like I was reading a continuous, you know, piece of prose, but I really did enjoy it. Some books, I can't lie, some of the short stories, I think about 2 of them, I had no clue what was going on whatsoever, the reasoning behind it, what I was supposed to get behind it. I was just generally just baffled, but it was an enjoyable bafflement because it wasn't like you were trying to find plot to find it interesting. You'll find it interesting, but you're trying to wonder why you were finding it interesting to find the plot. You know, it was very peculiar, but there are some that bring up really great conversations. So for example, you have this woman cheating on her husband with this man, and this man knows that it's not going to last forever. This girl's obsession with this boy. You have this actor who has this female driver, and this female driver kind of influences perspective on some things, and it just definitely, all of these characters are lonely in some way, but it also makes you question your own loneliness, but also makes you appreciate the mundaneness of just being able to sit in a room with somebody else. And yeah, I think Murakami is a beautiful and brilliant writer. I've watched a lot of Jack Edwards videos because I'm a Jack Edwards stan. Jack Edwards videos on some of his views and opinions and analysis of Murakami books, and I definitely agree with them. It's whimsical, it's kind of romantic, but not really romantic because it just has this element of realism to it, and then some of his books have no realism whatsoever. But yes, I really do recommend this as a great summer reading, and yeah, brilliant. The next 3 books are probably my top 3 in these recommendations. So the first one is Warcross by Marie Lu. Guys, I love Marie Lu so much. She is one of my favorite young adult fantasy authors. It's literally between her, Victoria Aveyard, and Leigh Bardugo as my favorite YA authors. But yes, Warcross is a brilliant summer read. So essentially there's this teenage hacker called Emeka Chen, and she is really good at what she does. She's a genius, right? She is approached by Hideo, who's the creator of this game called Warcross. And Warcross is a worldwide phenomenon. They have championships every single year, and there's currently a championship about to happen. Hideo invites Emeka Chen to Japan and tells her that there's a problem with the game, and she's such a good hacker, and he wants Emeka to try and solve the problem. But she has to disguise herself as a Warcross player in the games. And that's not the whole plot. There's obviously a lot more twists and turns, but it's just so good. I love the way Marie Lu writes. Her action scenes are so full, and the way she writes is that there's never a dull moment. You never feel like you're just reading things to get to the exciting part. Every single bit feels like an important piece of the text and the story. You're just continually reading and racing towards the end, and by the end just like, oh, that was so amazing, I need to read it again. Honestly, this is such a brilliant example of how well Marie Lu writes and constructs stories and characters and beautiful backstories. And yeah, honestly, peak YA fantasy fiction. I highly recommend you read this, and also check out her other books. I am kind of thinking of doing a ranking of all my favorite Marie Lu books yet, but I haven't read Sky Hunter, so I need to read Sky Hunter, and then we'll come back to this. But yes, this book. This next book, you've probably seen it if you've been on Book Talk. You've probably heard of it, The Song of Achilles. I read this about 3 months ago, and I'm still not over it. Like, every time I think and I look at this book, my heart aches. First of all, Madeline, I'm sorry, I don't know which way she prefers her name to be pronounced. I'm going to say Madeline for the sake of this video. Madeline Miller has this most beautiful prose and the way she describes the surroundings. This is obviously rooted in Greek mythology and the story of Achilles and Patroclus. I think from Homer's, is it Odysseys? Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so she describes the relationship, the romantic relationship, how it moves from platonic to romantic to almost the obsessive relationship between Achilles and Patroclus. This is so beautiful. The way she is able to portray these feelings of love between the two characters, but also detail great action scenes around it. Honestly, the way she writes is one of the most beautiful pieces of prose and fiction that I personally have ever read. And I remember I finished reading this book at 2 a.m. and I sat in my bed crying. I was like, how do I move on from this? And I came to school and I was like, guys, we need to have a discussion on love, life, and obsession, because I just can't move on without addressing the mental trauma this book has given me. Honestly, I'll read you, like, the final line in this play basically sums up how amazing she is as an author. In the darkness, two shadows reaching through the hopeless heavy dusk, their hands meet and light spills in a flood, like 100 golden urns pouring out the sun. Peak fiction. Honestly, you guys have to read it before you die, because if you die without reading this book, I'm pretty sure God won't let you into heaven. The final book I have recommend for you is on my Kindle. A complete side note is I really do recommend you guys get a Kindle if you are an avid reader or you're trying to get into reading. It is so convenient. This is a Kindle Fire, so I don't only use it for books, I use it for other things as well. I got this on sale. It was about £50, but it has saved me so much money, because if I'm kind of broke and I really want to read a book, I can find books much cheaper as a Kindle edition. It's also really great to take on holidays and to carry around and transport around as well. The final book I have to recommend with you is Love in Colour by Bolu Babalola. And so essentially, Love in Colour is a bunch of short stories based off of mythical tales and rewritten to include people of colour. That is the basic concept of the book, but it's so amazing. She is such an amazing author. She goes from retelling these mystical love stories, and you kind of feel like you're in this mythical world, to like retelling of really basic love stories in a very modern setting. Like, you have a law office, you just have at like a basic nightclub. Like, honestly, you just have a full range of different stories. What I think is so important in what she's doing here is that women of color, obviously my experience I understand completely, because I am a black woman, hardly ever find themselves as the main character in romance novels. It's very, very rare, especially for black women. So for her to position black women and so many other women of color, you have Southeast Asian women, you have Eastern Asian women, you have Middle Eastern women, to be positioned in, and Latinx women, of course, in the light of high I'm now the protagonist and I'm experiencing a love story, is so powerful. And I really appreciate what she is doing for our community. It is honestly amazing. She it's not only just straight relationships, it does include a wide range of LGBT relationships as well. And it is a really great summer read. Bunch of short stories that are really easy to read and light, and also really well written. So I highly recommend that you add this to your summer reading list. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my book recommendations. Tell me what you guys think if you read any of the books, and if you have any book recommendations to me to add to my summer reading list, then let me know. I love you guys so much. Goodbye. Guys, I think that's a bird. Oh my, it's gone. Sorry. So they are complete side note, but I started using a new sunscreen, and look, my skin is breaking out horribly. And somebody told me you need to start using your sunscreen so you don't get wrinkles, because I don't normally use sunscreen. But look at where we are now, and you also get an insight into how messy my room is. But you probably already saw that on my vlog. Anyway, I'm going now. Bye bye.